Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another segment of the Fishing Channel Regional Fishing Report. I'm so excited for tonight. Two reasons. I get to talk to Captain Walleye Pete, right? That's always amazing. Also, we're going to be auctioning off a walk-on with Captain Walleye Pete. That is an awesome gift. We're so grateful to Captain Walleye Pete for this. So the proceeds from the auction tonight will be going to Lakelyn. As you know, over the past couple of weeks, we talked about little Lakelyn, 5-year-old girl on the eastern shore of Maryland, suffering from a rare form of brain cancer, where statistically surviving this brain cancer is next to none. She's actually been going strong for a year now, and it's been really tough for the family. So we really want to come alongside them as the Fishing Channel and as a community, as we invite you into this support of the family through these auctions, and encouraging everyone to give whatever they can to the GoFundMe. So I'll repeat again, tonight we are auctioning off a walk-on with Captain Walleye Pete. So in order to be a part of this, and we have people chiming in from Instagram, you need to be on Facebook or YouTube and put your donation amount in the comments. And by the end of the show, we will announce the winner. So remember, this is a bidding. So we're going to be pulling up on the scroll at the bottom as bids come in where we are with the bids. So we appreciate your support, and especially during this holiday season where it's a really hard time for this family. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for your support. And we're going to bring in Captain Walleye Pete.
Well, hey, there you go. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Again. So great to see you.
Hey, it's good to be here tonight. Usually, every time I've been on, it's been right after a few days of fishing, and I'm like, but today, I'm good to go. I didn't fish because of the weather.
You are very laid back today. It must have been a nice day for you.
Yeah, well, I was working on stuff for upcoming events, so yeah, that's what I was doing.
All right. Well, before we get into the fishing report, we are already getting bids for your walk-on in support of Lakelyn. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Kyle. We really appreciate you.
Let me tell you real quick what I'll do with that walk-on so folks know. Yep. So whoever's high bidder on the walk-on, I will communicate with them immediately, and they can pick the date they want. If they want to go soon, well, that's an iffy gig. But if they'd like to go next spring, then I'll make a date just for that walk-on trip, and we'll put it in there to prime time, and then I'll fill in the walk-on if they don't get anybody else to go. So see what I'm saying? Yes. I'll put in the date. It won't be a normal walk-on. It'll be a walk-on planned way ahead of time. We'll make it happen.
Wow, that's so gracious of you. Thank you so much, Captain Walleye Pete. Really appreciate you. Hi, Rodney. How are you doing? So we are hitting some really cold temperatures. Rain, wind is crazy lately. How is it impacting you, and what's going on with the fish and your ability to put out your charters, and what's going on with the fish in the bay?
Well, the fish in the bay when you can get out there is great. You know, light tackle guides. I got to turn this thing off. Light tackle guides, they have to pick their days. We're not a big charter boat, so we cannot just fly around and get out there even in the heavy seas. So we have to pick our days. So the thing that dictates whether I'm fishing or not, I fished on some pretty heavy northeast wind, but I was able to fish in the Potomac River where on northeast wind it's protected. Even if it's blowing 20, it's still not that bad. It's chilly, but, well, not in my boat with a furnace. I feel bad for the open boat light tackle guys. I've been there, done that, and I'm tired from freezing my fanny. So I'll spend whatever it takes to have a furnace on my boat. But anyway, regardless of that, the bite is on big time. It's really good out in the main stem of the bay. But with all this wind, you do have to pick your days, and you got to be careful.
Yes, for sure. So we have, which we'll bring up shortly, some side imaging views that you were graciously, again, you're so gracious to us, to share with us on what was going on in the striped bass peanut bunker blitz that has been happening for you. Yeah, let's put it up right now. Let's see what's going on.
Hey, let's see what you got. Okay.
The side imaging there. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on there is that's a side. I mean, it's a Humminbird Solix. I've got it out. You can see on the right and the left-hand top side there, 178 feet. I've got it out there. And what you're seeing in the black, which is the water under the boat, you're seeing all that shiny orange stuff is bait, and all those other scattered things with separation, it's all the fish. And you can also see that there's an awful lot of fish, way out to each side along with under the boat. So that's a huge wad of fish that's about 40 feet thick. 40 feet thick, 300 feet wide, and an awful lot of fish. That's what that is. And they were a peanut bunker. They're kind of small. They're about the size of a 4-inch storm shad. And my God, when you threw a plastic out there, they demolish it. A BKD was key. A skirted jig with a BKD was hammering those fish. Metal was hammering those fish. Anything you put out there, actually, and you work it, good sharp twitches, keeping a snug line, you get absolutely demolished. So that's what was going on with that shot. I wouldn't want to be I would not want to be a menhaden there.
Yeah, it looks like a perfect storm. It looks like about, 40 to 50 feet.
It was 50 feet. Yeah, 50 feet deep. Yep.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe the menhaden were all the way down, all the way on top. Can you explain what's going on in the side imaging? We try to talk to the audience as if, they're new to.
Right. Well, the shadows, all those dark shadows on the right side and the left side, all those shadows are fish. Mm-hmm. Those are fish way out there. And it's just a whole bunch of fish. And all those separate marks, I'm looking at the picture myself and just trying to, it's when you're on a boat and you've got side imaging on, so a lot of folks don't know what they're looking at, but once you get out there and you have fish under your boat and then you look at the side image, that's what that is. You are looking at some bait right near the top. The bait was actually near the top. Yeah. And all those fish were just strewn out throughout the water column. So it's kind of hard to explain it other than that. There was fish everywhere.
No, that makes perfect sense. I also see that the water temperatures was at 51 degrees. How does that play into the fish and what's going on?
51's a great temperature in the fall. Those 51 is warm. We don't, maybe that's why we don't have giant migratory fish up here yet. We're still above 50. There's very few big ones. Big, when I say big, I mean well over 40 inches. We're not seeing those fish yet. But once it gets a little cooler, we might not. It's hard to tell. Over the last 20 plus years, a lot of our falls have not seen giants. There was many years back when the charter boats would go out and catch their limit of giants in the first couple hours and then be back in. That was back in the late 90s and maybe early 2000s, but then it started to fizzle. So over the last 15 years, I haven't seen giants in December up in our waters, hardly at all, and neither has anybody else. So hopefully we'll see. Last year was great. There was a lot of them up there last year, but prior to last year, none for quite a long time. And now this year, we're seeing very few. But 51's a great temperature. And currently, as we sit right here, I just looked at it. It's about 48 right now in the main stem of the bay. So we're cooling off right now.
All right. So I see more people are chiming in. I just want to repeat that tonight, Captain Walleye Pete has been gracious to provide a walk-on that we can auction off this evening, which is currently going on. There is bidding going on right now in the comments for the walk-on with Captain Walleye Pete in support of Lakelyn. As you know, we've been talking about Lakelyn for the past couple of weeks. She's a 5-year-old little girl on the eastern shore of Maryland suffering from an incurable brain disease. So this holiday season, the TFC crew and our correspondents, including Captain Walleye Pete, are in full support and reaching out to the community and everyone who chimes in to any of our programs to please find it in your heart to donate to this very important cause and to bid tonight for Captain Walleye Pete and his gracious walk-on. So thank you so much. So I want to talk about something really briefly, though. Birds are big this season. Mm-hmm. So explain to the audience what was going on with the birds with that crazy Manhattan striped bass blitz that was going on in the side imaging there.
Well, there was a lot of birds. And what they do, when I'm out on the water, I'm going to envision what I'm talking about here. Mm-hmm. When I'm out on the water and there's a bunch of birds, they could be spread out all over the place, and there could be thousands of birds. And what I'm looking for is where they're focusing at. A lot of times with these menhaden, they're not all at the top. Sometimes they are all at the top, but I'm going to make believe the menhaden are mainly down low. But every once in a while, some fish will push a few menhaden up, and the birds will fly in there real quick. And there'll be a mash of fish and birds all in the same spot. And if you get to that, if you're there when that's going on, you're going to have fish. And then sometimes the menhaden are up on top, and it's just insane. We had it a couple Tuesdays ago where there was menhaden all over the surface. The birds were everywhere, just easily picking up peanut bunker about the size of this storm shad. And it was just heaven on earth, and there was hardly no boats. It was a Tuesday. It was drizzly out, flat calm, and we caught them on surface plugs that day, along with everything else we threw. So when we're out there, it's insanely great when we see that.
Right. I think we have a video. Can we?
We got a submerged island out to our right. See all these fish here? It's out here. You can see the rip. See that rip out there? Beautiful rip line. And we've just caught several beautiful fish on poppers. Let's see if we can get a hit out here. They fizzled out on us a bit. Oh, there's one out there. What are you using, Sam? Okay.
Yeah, all that. What that was we were fishing the islands, and all the water is eroding away the land. And that particular spot was it was like 2 feet over the side, and then just off the side where that current rip was, we were catching fish. And that side image shot showed some fish right next to that, old sod. And while we're anyway, I get really excited in that shallow water. So let's keep rolling here. I don't want to tie your time.
Okay. Grant said that was not the correct video, but it was still an exciting video. There was a lot going on there that was pretty exciting. So yeah, no, we can. Yeah, let's do the correct video really quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
That screenshot says it sucks to be a bait fish right there. There's bait, there's fish all in it. Yeah. They're all over. We got rods bent. Oh, they're cracking out there. Look at that. See the menhaden popping out of the water. The birds are doing it. And, oh, there's a cracker right there. Cracking out there.
Just a very relaxed, incredible day on the water. Not too many boats. You just kick back, relax, and hook a lot of fish. And they were very, very cooperative that day.
Right on. Fish on. That was exciting. Just to let everybody know, the current bid right now for the walk-on that's being auctioned off with Captain Walleye Pete is $300. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful, by the way. And what I'm going to do is throw in a prize pack of something else. I don't know what. I'm going to bring some stuff. I'll talk to Mr. Bass Candy Delight, and I've got some stuff around. So when whoever bids the high bidder on this one, I'll be bringing some other goodies for him too.
Wow. I'm going to try not to cry here. That's
stop.
So much. No, it really touches my heart. You know how I feel about children.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I shed a tear on that situation too. I read about it, and it was very touching. So, hey, any little bit of thing that us in the fishing community can do for a situation like that with a family is priceless. So we need to do what we can do. There's no doubt about that.
For sure. Thank you so much. So one thing I'd like to ask you too, if you can explain, somebody had a fly rod on one of your boats. Yeah. What happened there? What did this gentleman catch?
This guy who's fished with me for about 100 years, he's an 80-year-old guy that's been fishing with me for about 20 years, and he loves his fly rod, so he always brings it, and he always gets it rigged up, ready to go. And when we have a situation where he can catch him on a fly, which is very often, he does. And yesterday, was it yesterday? What's today? What day of the week is today?
Thursday.
It was Wednesday. It was yesterday. Okay. So it was yesterday. Once I saw those fish hanging up above 20 feet below the surface, he had a heavy sink line on, and he had a nice fly that would present well. And I had him just get it back behind the boat. His line would sink good, and he would just pay it back in. And he was crushing fish, 20 feet down, 15 feet down. And the thing is with the fly stick, if a fly guy can catch a typical fly guy can catch a 25-incher, that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. He hooked several of those nice fish, and it was on the fly. And that guy I love seeing the fly rod bent. There's something about a bent fly stick I like. And so whenever I can get that guy in that opportunity, I do it. So if it was 40 feet down, we couldn't have caught him. But once I saw him up a little higher, we absolutely went after him with a fly. And it worked.
Awesome. I love watching people fly fish. It's such a beautiful art. Yes, Alan Batista, who I call the Beastmaster of kayak fishing. He generously offered to throw some books in to give to the winner. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate you.
You call him the Beast Master? Is that because he looks like a beast?
Oh,
No, of kayak fishing. Yeah.
I love Alan. I love Alan. He is a monster catching beast, no doubt about it.
So, anyone who's tuning in, definitely follow him on Facebook and Instagram. I think he's called the Chesapeake Trilogy on Instagram. So we're doing questions. Okay. Scott Kem, Captain Pete, can you explain some of the differences between snap jigging and jigging larger spoons that have become very popular? Just curious, any different circumstances where you feel one outperforms the other? Understanding we can get into the channel fishing deeper depths now. P.S. Any 40 cows yet?
I haven't seen any, but a friend of mine caught he's a great young fisherman, and he did catch a giant just the other day. Nice. So this snap jigging thing, I was sharply jigging back when I was 8 years old for walleye, so that's nothing new. Snap jigging. So sharp, I'll call it sharp. So a sharp jigged BKD, on my boat, I always preach sharp because that sharp movement draws attention. That movement, that lateral line that fish have that we can't comprehend, that sharp movement draws attention, and those fish can detect that sharp twitched jig. So, if you're twitching a BKD that's, a 10, well, here you go. A 10-incher or, a 10-inch BKD right there, it draws a lot of attention if you sharply jig this thing. In and amongst any of those side images, if a guy slings that out there, lets it get down to the bottom, and then starts working it real good, sharp twitches, never letting any slack in the line. If I see slack in the line on my boat, I've got this stick that shocks people. I shock them. No, I'm just kidding. I shock them when they put slack in it. But anyway, so snap jigging's a great thing. The spoons that Scott's talking about. I just had a 19-year-old kid put on a clinic on my boat. I couldn't believe it. It was insane. He came on my boat with a gigantic, I wish I had one on the boat. I can't think of the name of them. Ben Parker spoon. It's a flutter spoon. That's what it is. It's like that long. It's huge. It's like 9 inches long. It's gigantic. It looks like a giant menhaden. But anyway, this kid had that on his rod, and I laughed at him when he got on a boat, and he said, "Hey, man, would you like something that's going to catch fish?" And I offered him one of these. I offered him a diamond jig.
Nice.
And, and he said, "No, Capt Pete, I think I'm going to try this." That kid that day caught several big fish on this gigantic Ben Parker flutter spoon, and he wasn't back to the sharp jigging gig. Mm-hmm. He was sharply popping it, but not as sharp as you would with a plastic. He was sharply bringing it up and then fluttering it back down. And this flutter spoon sunk all the way to the bottom. Scott, you know and I know that sometimes those big ones will be laying low, sometimes. And that big flutter spoon sharply, but not as sharp as a BKD, down at the bottom, and then fluttered back down with a snug line. Don't make me pull the shocker out. That kid caught those fish. So guess what I made him do? I made him take my cell phone, and I made him go to my Amazon, and I bought 6 of those $30 spoons, and now they're on my boat because I was so impressed. Never had I had a teenage kid, he might have just turned 20, put on such a clinic, and that was awesome. I love it when I'm wrong.
Well, great for him.
In a fishy way.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I can say on that, Scott. I hope it answered you a little bit.
We have a question from Stanley Morris. Captain Pete, do you use barbless or mast?
Okay. Sometimes I will squash the barbs. It depends on the bite and the anglers, too. So if I've got inexperienced anglers, I can't smash barbs because if they go slack, again, slack is bad. I preach that all the time. If they go slack, which many inexperienced anglers do, then they're going to lose the fish. And is the guide? I don't want guys losing fish. So I will sometimes, and I won't sometimes. And if it's already mashed, then it's already mashed down. So sometimes they're already mashed, and I might not even know I did it. But anyway, I like mashed barbs for experienced guys, and not so much for the inexperienced. Unless the bite's and crazy is crazy great, then we don't care if we lose a few.
We're actually at time, unfortunately. I had a question I want to ask you, but I will get you sidebar. Do we have time or? Okay. Well, I have a question.
Okay.
So, someone made a comment on one of the photos that you posted recently and talked about the sea lice that you found.
Yeah.
The photo of it. Can you explain to the audience what the significance, or if any, there is to finding sea lice on fish that you pull out of the water?
Well, I'm not a biologist, but here's what I think, based on talking to people that are a lot smarter than me. Those critters don't all come from the Atlantic Ocean, those little lice guys. Yes. When I was fishing the CBBT, there were lice on those giant fish that were big. I mean, they looked like shrimp. I'm exaggerating, but they weren't as big as shrimp. But they were big sea lice. These critters that we have right now, they're nice little sea lice, but I think they live in the bay. And what are they called? Something pods or whatever. I'm sure there's somebody out there that can. There's many different breeds of critters that get on fish. So I don't think they came from the ocean. Yes. I also caught fish in the summer with those same critters on in the summer, and I know they didn't come out of the ocean. So my non-scientific, just seeing what I've seen out there, explanation is they're not sea lice. If you catch a 45-incher with a great big one on there, I'll give on that one. I'll say it's a sea lice. So anyway, that's my answer on that.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're ready to go and to see where we are with the bidding right now. Where are we?
We are at $300.
All right.
Go over the whole prize package?
Yeah, so I'm going to repeat one more time before we announce who the winner is of the auction. So tonight, Captain Walleye Pete has graciously donated a walk-on trip in honor of Lakelyn. Lakelyn is the 5-year-old girl that we've been talking about for about 2 or 3 weeks. She has been suffering from a rare and incurable brain cancer. So she's been going strong for a year now, and we want to come alongside this family as a community, not just the fishing channel, to support this family this holiday season and what they've had to endure. Aside from the GoFundMe that they have on the Lakelyn Strong Facebook page, we are also offering auctions throughout the next couple of shows to help support this family. And Captain Walleye Pete has graciously offered a walk-on. So bidding has been going on tonight. So we have a winner. Oh my goodness.
Let him do go once.
Oh my, wait,
Oh
no,
my
it's
God.
rolling in. Hold on. We're not the winner yet. All right, so I'm gonna go one more time. So going once. Going once. Mississippi. Going twice. Mississippi. All right, we are closing the auction now. All right, who do we have?
Jason A.
Hey,
So
yay.
let me say to Jason A that he needs to get a hold of me, soon, and him and I can chat on the phone, or we can text, or whatever the case may be, and we'll talk about what he wants to do, and we will make it happen.
Yes. How does he get a hold of you?
Let's see. He can text me. He can get on Facebook.
Facebook.
Is he a Facebook friend of mine? I think.
I'm not sure who Jason A is, but Jason, you can also reach out to us at admin@thefishingchannel.net, or on any of our Facebook pages. You can message us, but admin@thefishingchannel.net is a good way to contact us. So thank you so much, everyone who joined us tonight and who was part of the auction. Thank you so much for your hearts, and thank you, Jason, so much. Thank you, Captain Walleye Pete. Thank you for everyone who asked questions and unfortunately didn't get to tonight. So I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas, an amazing New Year if we don't connect before then. And as always, fish on, everybody, and have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.